Okay, welcome.
evening.
Good evening.
Good evening,
How you-
Nick. How are you doing? Before we even do all of that, how are you?
Yeah. Let's we can exchange a couple of pleasantries, Lolly, because
We
we
can.
haven't seen each other for a little while. So yeah, I'm well, thank you. How you doing?
Not so bad. Not so
Yeah,
bad. Enjoying the nice weather, topping up the vitamin
looking
D.
looking lovely as usual. Did you work today?
It's yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You don't look like you've done a hard day's work today, Lolly.
Oh, I have. I really
Yeah.
have.
Oh, good
So
stuff.
this segment, so good to speak to you, Nick.
Yes, likewise.
So we are here again with another edition of So What Is, the
Hmm.
program where we get under the skin and down to the roots, talking about black hair. See what I did there, Nick?
Yeah, I did indeed.
What I did there.
Down to the roots.
And this week, Nick, do you want to enlighten them on what we're talking about this week?
Yes. Well, it's a topic that's close to my heart. Obviously, being a male and going to the barbers on a regular basis, I usually go weekly. But because I start to accentuate my salt and pepper, as you can see, I now go maybe fortnightly. But anyway, we're talking about the lowdown on men's hair care, grooming, the different trends that are currently going on, the do's and the don'ts of hair care. And we'll be talking to some industry players, some movers and shakers on the men's grooming and hair care. It's a big industry, nearly as big as the women's, I would say.
Well, I noticed now there are a lot of services that's kind of similar to women's now, but we'll touch on a bit of that later. We'll
Yes,
be discussing with Ratty the
like the
barber.
weaves.
It's too early. It's too early for that.
Okay.
We'll be discussing with Ratty the barber. We've also got Gareth. He has a salon
Yes.
over in East London.
Mhm.
We've got She Barber, a female
Yes.
barber. She does mobile hair. And we've also got Gareth Speaks, who we'll
Yes.
having a bit of a conversation with, who has his own podcast that went viral. So yeah, I'm
Indeed.
looking forward to this one.
Yes, indeed. I did watch some of that Gareth Speaks podcast. Actually, really riveting stuff,
Fiery.
Lolly. So I'm looking forward to
Fiery.
looking forward to hearing from him. But our first guest, he hails from Jamaica, West Indies originally. He is I think it's fair to say, a barber to the stars, because he gets a lot of clientele from the sports and entertainment industry. And he is commonly known and well-renowned barber called Ratty. So can we bring Ratty into the studio? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ratty.
Good evening.
Welcome
Thanks
to
for
So
having
What Is.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure. Very excited.
Thank you for
He's got
joining
that
us.
barber smile, you know. He's got that troublesome barber smile. I can see it.
Is
The job is
yeah. Well, first of all, Ratty, I mean, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that you are non-stop. You do mobile barbering as well, right?
yes.
And you have quite a comprehensive clientele list. I've been told.
Yes.
I've been told you're the man. So I think I might have to see if I can get up on the ladder so I can get to maybe be one of your clients, Ratty.
You want to tell us a bit about who your clients are? Are you able to tell us about like some of your clients that you service? Have you got an NDA?
Some clients do wish to keep their service private, so
We
I won't
understand.
say much, but yeah.
But you started about 8 years ago, right? Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
And did you start cutting hair from in England or in Jamaica? How did you begin?
It was in Jamaica. I mean, it's basically the traditional barber style where you start cutting your friends' hair at home, practicing cutting on the tree with razor and comb, and you get a little old clipper, and then you practice as much as you can, messing each other hair up. But the one with the most passion is the one who seeks the knowledge and then normally end up becoming professional. So that was it for me. I was really interested in barbering, going to the
Yeah.
barber in my hair done. I always thought, I think I could do that, and maybe I could do a little bit better, you know. So it was very interesting, and that's where I got my passion. Did well in for a few years after high school, and then got into barbering professionally, and that's where it began.
That's where it's just taken off. But was you so would you say that you were self-taught then, Ratty, or did you have formal training in barbering?
For the most part, it was self-taught,
Wow.
and then getting experience, and also being, tutored by more experienced barber. But
Yes.
in my case, you had to look and learn on the go, dealing with clients. It wasn't going to school or or college or anything. You just had to be in a barber shop dealing with clients, and if you mess up, you get an X. But if you did a good job, you get compliments. So you had to learn how to be, humble enough to take criticism, whether it's good or bad, and add that to yourself and make yourself a better barber for the next client.
So would you say that your barbering style, is it more creative, or what you learned, what you were taught?
It's both creative and traditional, and I'm still learning and adding new knowledge. So you're always learning as a barber. The trend change and the desire for the haircut change, so you have to be able to evolve and move with that accurately.
Yeah. Have you had to do anything kind of outlandish that you thought, been put in a position where you weren't sure about something, or?
Yeah, that's my main thing. I really enjoy doing stuff that isn't already done, like doing designs and stuff. I like to do freestyle patterns. So somebody will say, I want to style in my head, and I'll be like, okay, just stare at it for a second. That's the head shape. All right, this is what I'm going to do. So it's very interesting, because you don't know, you might have an idea and you change along the way, but as long as the client is satisfied, then it's a win.
And do you cut European hair as well, Ratty? You do all types of hair, European and Asian hair and things like that?
Yes. Since I moved to the UK, I started studying European hair as well, and hairdressing also. So, as I said, the knowledge keeps improving. So I have to be able to attend to everyone. So I've been doing European hair for over a year now. Well, learning.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you find? I mean, because it's very rare for me when I go to the barbers. It's very rare that you see like a Caucasian or Indian man coming into a black barber shop and like just being comfortable in saying, just give me a haircut, because obviously they may be a little bit skeptical about the shape of their hair, the texture and things like that. Have you find that? Do you find that a challenge?
Yeah, it is. A lot of people see my profile, and they say, when they're inquiring to book a service, they do ask if you do their texture. So it's definitely, for me, it's a good market, learning how to do their ear, because a lot of black barbers, they don't really venture into that. So
Yes.
they are skeptic, rightfully so, but skeptical. But it's definitely working in my favor, and I'm gaining more and more clients as time goes by. As I put more footage out with clients with your texture, I get more inquiries for that. So I'd say
adapt your business then, like, because like the traditional, from what I remember, the traditional black barbers, it's a very lively place, and it's very cultural. Somewhere like, even as a woman attending a barber shop, it's a bit daunting, and you could just look just like them, but it's a bit daunting. Have you had to change conversation, or things like magazines, or just different music that you play? Have you had to sort of like change to sort of adapt at all?
I would say changing the music is definitely one thing that you have to do, but I am a barber. I do both male and female, so it's about being instinctive and knowledgeable. You don't have any conversation when there's kids in the barber shop, or there's a female there that guys wanna have their guys dog when there's a female client. So you have to be knowledgeable as a person and be professional. So you you cater to your client according to the type of energy that you get and the levels of professionalism that they really desire.
You know what I'd like to ask, Rati? I'd like in terms of like trust. You know, it's like when you go to the doctor, you know, or somebody that you are personal with, and they treat you or whatever. You kind of build up that trust and that personal relationship. Do you find that a lot of your clients confide in you about their personal life and things like that? Just like, you know, you get a lot of women, they talk a lot in the hairdressers.
Oh, yes.
No disrespect to the women, but do you find that? Do you find that?
Nick, tread carefully.
I am, Lolly. So do you find that with the men, they confide in you about, you know, things that's going on in their life, and you have to be a little bit of a shoulder to cry on, a listening ear, more than a therapist? Yeah. Good word. Thank you, Lolly.
That's the right word, to be honest, because we actually have to be somewhat of a therapist. So as a barber, you have to seek knowledge in, well, basically you gain knowledge from every profession, basically, because you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have teachers, and everybody, they share their experience and also their problems. So you learn to be a very good listener and not just listen to reply, but listen to understand. And you have to have good memory as a barber, not just to remember the haircut that your client had, but also the conversations. Because clients come back and they continue right where they left off. So, you know, it's definitely a job for someone with a strong mind and good spirit, because you have to be a therapist, to be honest. And
do you know something? I always find that, and that's a good point that you made, because I always find that when you go to the barbers, there's nothing like the barber. He sits you down, and you don't even have to say a word. He knows exactly what to do with your hair, how to cut it, and to have so many clients and still be able to remember that's like photographic memory, or, you know, that's an art in itself. So I commend you on being able to do that.
Thank you. It's also about, remember, for me, it's more about head shape in terms of the haircut.
Right.
Once you look at the head shape, remember, okay, this is the best fit for that, you know, or this is the best level for that head shape.
I see your video cutting smooth mic there.
Yeah.
So sorry, Lolly, I just wanted to ask, in terms of like price wise and charging, do you find that as you've got more experience and you've got more clients that are, should I say, more from the entertainment arenas and the sporting arenas, that you've been able to kind of like up your prices?
Yes, you definitely get to up your price, but it's also based on your experience. You know, in this industry, you get to charge by your experience and the standards that you want to create as a barber. You know, there are different levels to barbering. So if you want to be just a barber who's charging £15 at a little regular shop, then that's you. But if you want to provide a very clean atmosphere and respectable personality and good service with knowledge, then and a therapy your therapy session, then
you have to pay a little bit more for that.
Yeah.
So Ratty, can I ask you, so with your service now, your barber service, like you said, there's like regular barbering, and then there's that next step. I know some of the barbers that I know, they do the hot towels, they do the facials, they do the beard trimming, they do the tinting, even the coloring of the thickening of the hairline, which we pretend that we don't know about. There's a lot of those kind of services, and what was maybe a half an hour haircut is now turning into a hour and a half, 2 hour service. Have you found that you've had to change and add more services that way?
In terms of facial and all of that, in the barber shop, that's a very good marketing strategy to earn more. But personally, I haven't started doing the spray painting, so I can't say much about the value that adds to the haircut.
But you have you ever been asked to do, like, do you do wet shaves? Because that seems to be a thing of the past now.
Yeah, there are clients that still do the shaving. I'm about to post a video shortly on YouTube as well with shaving the head, wet shaving. So there are clients that does ask for that, but the file shaver is doing an excellent job. And the same client I'm about to post, we agreed that we were going to do an experiment with the shave on his head, and he's really satisfied with it so much that we haven't done wet shaving on his head after that. So,
Okay.
people still require it because it's like an head massage. It's very soothing and therapeutic for them. So
Yes.
that's why they desire that. But in terms of the cleanness of the bald head or whatever, you can get that done with a foil shaver.
So and your mobile, tell us a little bit about your mobile business, because that's bespoke, right? That's bespoke barbering.
Oh yeah, that's for me my main branding now in the UK. That's I want to establish myself more so as a mobile barber. So in the long run, then I can employ people and teach them how to, be like-minded in terms of personality and the level of professionalism that I bring. And it's also a good market because a lot of people are tired of sitting in the barber shop for 3 hours, and they say, I have several clients say I don't want to wait. I've waited in the barber shop for 3 hours and that's annoying. So now that people are moving to working from home now, it's like more demanding for them to get the service at home. You get your haircut, you just go back to your typing on your Zoom call and you're back to work.
That's great. Well, actually, you know what? I could speak to you for another hour because I could see that you got the personality to be a barber. And I think you have to have that personality. It counts for a lot to make that customers feel all right. So, but can you stay with us, Ratty? We're gonna talk more to you, like fire some questions from the chat room and things like that when we go after our next guest. Yeah.
Yes, that's all right.
Thank you very much. All right.
Right.
So. Who's next, Lolly? Who's next on the hit list?
So now we have Gareth. That was actually a really good,
introduction.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
It's good to see someone that's got passion in what they're doing.
And he's got the character. You can tell.
Definitely need it with hair because that's what you have to have a lot of trust.
Yes.
Very
important.
I used to get asked from a lot of people, "Can I see your hands first?"
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know what, Lolly? When I used to go to the barbers, when I was quick story. When I used to go to the barbers, my dad used to take us, all the boys, and we had an uncle. I won't call his name, but he's the one that you didn't want to go to because you could guarantee that you're gonna get the worst haircut ever. And he was the one that always wanted to cut your hair. So trust is everything.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So shall we bring in our next guest, Gareth?
Yes, let's do that.
Gareth, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Where is he? There he is.
Hey, Mr. Gareth.
Welcome.
How are you? Good evening. You good?
Very well, thank you, sir. And yourself?
Yeah, I'm fine. Really good. Yeah, man.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey so far in the barbering world.
Well, basically, I started when I was about 4. When my mum used to take us to the barber shop and she'd leave and go Ridley Road Market and leave us in there. I'd be sitting down and just start watching the barbers. But really, what really kind of captivated me was the sounds of the clippers, the razor chopping on the leather, the razor coming off the skin, the brushing the salt in the salt. All the sounds used to just have me captivated. And then when I used to see like what some of the guys some of the men used to come in with big beards and the hair was rough and kind of unkept out of shape and that. And within about an hour and a half, say about an hour, ballpark time, you just look like a different person. That whole just changing people, that just captivated me, and I was just sort of like watching from then, really.
Okay, so what age did you start barbering then, professionally? 13.
13.
Yeah.
Wow. That couldn't have been legal though.
I was about to say back then though, a long time ago, you used to do hairdressing. Where it was making cups of tea, you would be in a salon quite young.
Yeah, well, my mum used to have a salon, so I was fortunate that way where I got to start kind of early.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So your mum, that was your introduction.
Yeah. That was my platform, really. So yeah, it was a great platform still. So yeah. So
what kind of barber would you describe yourself as, Gareth?
Me? Wow.
Yeah. Would you say that you're traditional or
traditional, modern, it just depends because I can do everything.
Yeah.
I can do everything. Yeah. I can cut European hair, I can cut Afro hair, I can cut Asian hair, which is the same as European, really. So yeah, I can do it all in that sense. So I just say I'm a general all-rounder, really.
Yeah. And what about in terms of like women? Do you have a lot of women clients?
I've got a few of them. Yeah, I've got quite a
Yeah.
few women clients. I'm a hairdresser as well, so I don't really do
Okay.
hairdressing. I just love barbering, so I've just made that my focus. But
Yeah.
I've always had women clients. Even from a very young age, I've had women clients. I've always had them.
Do you
Okay.
have a lot of women coming to you for barbering?
Yeah. Let me see, as a percentage, maybe about 30%.
Yeah. Have you noticed the change like over the last few years where people sort of that new natural movement?
Yeah, a lot of women are they're abandoning their chemical processes and treatments, and they're carrying more of their natural hair now. So yeah, I've my clientele's kind of raised up a little bit because a lot of people a lot of ladies having short haircuts now. So yeah, it's good.
Mm.
And in terms of trends, because obviously, Gareth, you've been in the business quite a long time, right? In terms of trends, what have you noticed from when you started till now in terms of trends, in terms of how men are wearing their hair? Because I mean, just from my own experience, I noticed that the bald head is really in now, the bald head and the beard.
It's never been out though, Trinity.
Well, well, I don't know. I mean, we went through a little stage where it was like the kind of like short back and sides of fades, and the fades were the big thing for many years. Still is, if you could see mine. But I mean, right
Yeah,
now it's the bald head seems to be. Do you? You tell me. You're the expert. You tell me.
I do quite a few bald heads to be fair, but it's mainly guys who are actually losing their hair and receding it.
That's
I haven't got
Right.
many guys whose hair they've got hair and they cut their hair bald. No, I haven't got many of those clients. But
Right. Right.
most of the clients that have do with bald hair, they're already losing it. So I said they might just go the whole bald it. But some of them they get to go and bald their, I don't think they want their hair back because they're getting so much attention from the women with their bald head and their beards. I don't think they even want their hair back if they could get it back. So yeah, it's a good look for them right now.
Indeed, I mean, like I think when we talk about Kojak back in the day, the bald head, that was kind of like Terence Savalas. He used to get a lot of women because of his bald head, but I mean, the hair, it's just like with women. I mean, us men don't go. For me, don't get it twisted. Us men, we care a lot about our hair. We like to look good. We like to kind of use the latest products in our hair. We spend a lot of money on ourselves as well. Do you find that you have to recommend products to a lot of your clients to use, Gareth?
Yeah, depending on what for, but yeah, I sometimes I introduce them to stuff.
Right.
Yeah, where they've got like depending on what their hair condition like, their scalp condition is and all of that. I've got to introduce them to certain greases, certain creams. Yesterday I introduced one of my clients to a mousse what I'd already used on him, and he
Okay.
forgot. He asked me to order it, and I ordered it, and then I used it on when he goes, "See, I'll take that, girl." And he just said, "Boom, yeah, just send me the bank details, and I'll put the money in the bank." But yeah, I'll take that. So yeah, you've kind of got to guide them in the right direction certain times if you see things that can really help them and their hair needs assistance or their scalp needs assistance. Yeah, I do find myself recommending stuff.
And have you had to go back and kind of like study things to know what the latest trends are in men's hair care and what the things are, because what we may have used 20 years ago or 10, 15 years ago is maybe frowned upon today, and say those things really weren't that good for your hair. This is what you should be using. So have you had to go back and learn new techniques and new things to use, or what?
Yeah, definitely. With regards to fading now, there's a lot of different types of fades that are out there. So you do need to watch and see what's going on. I mean, when the documentaries that were done on me were put on YouTube, they was put in strategic places where I was found myself watching other barbering videos of certain products and certain styles and that. So after that documentary got done, I just found myself keeping up anyway. Not that I was really behind, but I just
Yeah.
had to keep up with what was really kind of going on.
Yeah.
Mastering your craft.
Definitely. I still have to go back to a barbering, like Ratty said, you're always learning. And if you think you're the best barber, then no, you might as well don't just forget it, because like there's always something new to learn. Always.
Mm.
You know what I find interesting, Gareth?
Go
You
on.
have locks and you're
Yeah.
a barber. You get asked about that quite a lot.
Yeah, to a degree, because when I opened my salon, I locked up the very next year. But then I've got uncles. I mean, locks and rasta and all that. That's in my family from the longest time. I got 4 uncles that are locked up. My mum was hoping that I wouldn't, but it just was going to happen anyway. So yeah, and for me, like after, I mean, I've always had locks from maybe in my 20s, but once I got to about late 30s, I said, you know what, done this now. I'm locking up the whole head. Who can't deal with it? That's their issue, not mine. So I just locked up everything, and I've had locks from what, 99 now.
Do you do locks as well?
I can do. I don't do many. I've got certain specific clients what I deal with their locks for them.
Yeah.
And like my own hair, I locked up my own hair anyway, so I kind of got an idea as to what I'm doing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And what do you find in terms of like charging, Gareth? I asked Ratty this. Do you find that the more experienced you are, the more money you can charge, or do you find that you just keep it like at one rate, and whatever you do, it's always one rate?
Never that. That's never gonna happen. Nah, I've got too much experience in stuff, so I ain't gonna be giving away my services for free. It's just not gonna happen. When I say for free, or not even giving away our services for free, giving it away for cheap. I've been to college, and then I went to another college called Cut Creators, where that was a barbering college, even though it was a salon, that was a college for me. Yeah. Yes. So I've personally been to college and sat down in the classroom and listened to everything and learned the theory. So I don't see why I'm not going to charge what my value is.
Yes. So you've learned the business side of the barbering as well.
Yeah. Well, when my mum used to go away to Jamaica, I used to have to do the banking. I used to have to do a whole load of different stuff. So yeah, I learned that at a very early age.
Okay.
So just like staying on that topic for a minute. You're saying about people charging people for your value. What about your time? Do you adjust your prices? Because I know a lot of barbers do before 8 a.m. prices, after 6 o'clock prices. They've got peak times, quiet times. The prices are all different. You won't get a set price. Do you do something like that?
All the time, definitely. If I've got to do an early morning one, you've got to put a little bit more in my pocket. If I've got to do a late one, you've got to put a little bit more in my pocket. Anything after 6:30, really, it's evening time, overtime. Need to be paid for that.
And is that standard? Is that the standard practice across barbershops, or do you think there's more people that are more?
That's just me personally. I don't see myself like all the rest of the barbers, because everybody's in their own lane. Everybody's got their own different services, what they're rolling at and dealing with. So I can't put myself in the same lane as anybody else. Like the barbers that are doing the footballers and the musicians, that they're charging different money because they can charge different money. So my view of it is that all barbers are different. You're all doing different things, even though we're all in the hub and the umbrella of barbers. We've all got slightly different services. So I can't see how we could all be charging the same money anyway. And we've all got slightly different experience. I mean, I'm a hairdresser and a barber. So if I'm cutting your hair and I've got to use my little small cutting scissors, it's different money.
Does location affect the price as well?
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah, it does. It definitely does. I was talking to a young barber on Saturday, telling me where he is in Waltham Abbey is £6 and £7, and he's saying he can't charge this and he can't charge that. And I said, no, you can, but what it is, you don't believe that you'll get the money being in the area that you are, surrounded by barbers that are charging £6 and £7. But I'm in an area where I've got barbers around me charging 6 and 7s and 8s. Some are charging 10s, some have got to 15s, and I charge more than them. I'm not going to tell you what I charge. Yeah. But I charge a lot more than them, because like my services, the tools I use, the way I deal with my stuff, it's not like everybody else. My Andy's Masters cost what, £250? I've got 2 of them. I've got a Pulse watch that's cost £300. A lot of barbers ain't using those kind of tools. Fabulous Pro is the hottest trimmer out here. I've got 3 of them. Yeah? And they ain't cheap. And I've got them set for different things and different uses. So I can't be charging what the man down the road with one wall's charging. It's just not going to happen. And you shouldn't expect me to. Or any barber for that matter.
It's I just had a message saying South definitely cheaper than Southwest. South London definitely cheaper than Southwest London, which I don't know about that.
But it depends. Like, look, you're going to get expensive barbers everywhere. It's just about how the barber sees himself, what kind of qualifications he's got, what he's studied. Yeah, and there's years of experience. I've been using my scissors since I was 13. I'm well into my 50s. I ain't gonna tell you my age either, but if you got the bug, so you know anyway. But this is what I'm saying to you. And I started off with the scissors and a razor and a comb 5 years before I picked up the clippers. Are you gonna want me to charge the same amount like the man that's just picked it up? Or the barbers don't even use scissors and they're using just clippers to cut? Yeah, how can you expect me to charge the same money? It's just not gonna happen.
Do you find, Gareth, that the younger barbers maybe just use clippers and they don't use a lot of the older guys techniques that go back years, maybe decades, maybe even longer than that?
Yeah. On average, yes, but you're going to find the ones that are passionate, they're going to learn to use their scissors early as well.
Okay.
They learn about this because they know that completes the haircut.
And that is where the formal training that you went into that comes in, right? Because you went formal training to.
Nah, I didn't learn that at college. I learned that by watching the barbers in the 60s.
Really?
I didn't learn that at college at all. Like I said, the sound of the scissors clipping and all that caught my attention. But them guys, you thought they weren't cutting nothing, but they were. So I had that training from early. So I'm used to that. But a lot of the modern barbers, they won't take that time to pick up that skill because they don't know the value of it yet. They'll get it later.
Wow.
Do you think like the whole change now from when you started to now? Do you think that the whole barbering environment has changed in terms of conversation? You know, now like barbers, they used to sort of have the overalls and they used to look a certain type of way. Now it's very much the designer gear, the trainers. It's a whole new look, isn't it? Do you find that that's part of it, like where people would want to go?
So again, do I find that part of it?
You find that that's what people like. The culture now is like going to a barber that's trendy. Like with the barber that's got the latest gear on, the latest jeans or trainers or that whole kind of modern kind of feel. Do you think that attracts people now because you've got social media that plays a big part where people share their their work, should I say, and it's all about presentation now. Barbers don't look like barbers used to 10, 20 years ago.
It's debatable, really. I mean, depending on who your barber is. If your barber somebody that always sort of was fashionable or was stylish, and that's part of their personality and character, then those think the people are gonna gravitate to them anyway.
Gareth, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is sterilization?
10, maybe even 12.
Wow.
It's everything.
Yeah.
But if you ain't listen, in the barber environment, cross infections or contraindications are they're right. They're easy to catch. Ringworm, especially ringworm, is easy to catch. So you've got the sterilizations is key, man. If you ain't got no clipper side and barber side or Andy's cool spray and that, you're not really doing your clients a service, really.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's imperative, man.
Wow. Because in the fullness of time, when people have a lot of things, you could sometimes maybe you see barbers maybe scrimping on the on that side of it because they want to get in as much clients as they can.
You're gonna lose customers and business. You might as well take your time and clean everything properly because them clients that see you doing that, they're coming back anyway. You ain't losing them. But then where you're running down that money and you're not doing what you should be doing with your tools, you're gonna lose a lot of clients. So it's just not even worth the hassle. You might as well just do the job. And I'd even say, don't even rush. Take your time, make them wait, look after them, and they ain't going anywhere.
And that's how you get customers that stay with you for years and years and years, right? Yeah,
you do. Not just that's part of it, but your personality and being able to share and listen. Listen is the most important thing. Barbers wear about 6 hats. We get paid for one. We're shrinks, as who was it? I think Gareth was saying first, and then even Ratty was saying, you know, being a therapist is part of it. If you can't listen and you can't give advice, that's part and parcel. Boy, I'd say that's even 30%, 40% of it. So if you can't do that, you're kind of in trouble.
Gareth, listen, it's been an eye opener, man. Stay with us. We've got loads of questions that's in the chat room at the moment, but
No problem.
we're gonna have a little session. We'll just throw some questions out to you guys, and stay with us. We're gonna come in. We're gonna bring Speaks in now to have a little chat, and we'll come back to you shortly. Yeah.
That was interesting.
Yeah. It's getting hot. It's getting hot in here.
A complete contrast, wasn't it?
Indeed.
Different times. So as Nick said, we have Speaks ready in the green room to join us. Speaks.
I've been looking forward to this one, Lolly.
Yes.
No disrespect to anybody, but I've been watching some of the podcasts.
For him, I'm loaded. With
Yeah. Speaks.
Welcome.
How you doing, Lolly? How you doing?
Good
Not
evening,
too bad,
sir.
how
Good evening. Nice to have you.
Yes,
Nice
how
to
are
have you
you?
on board.
Thanks for
So,
having me.
so Speaks. I was just saying to Lolly off that I was been looking forward to speaking to you because we've been looking at some of your podcast, your Barber Banter, and it's so relevant, especially in today with our youngsters and that. And you know, it rings true with a lot of things that is going on in our communities as at the moment. So
Take a look at it.
yeah, let's have a look at your Barber
Go for
Banter
it, man. Go for
podcast,
it.
and then we can talk about it.
Let's
The way that we celebrate certain people and certain things that they've achieved needs to change before we start saying to them, don't do that. How can you say to a kid, don't do that, when he sees no other way out and everybody that he's looking up to is winning that way?
Again, because once you get nicked, you lose everything. Once you get a bullet in your head, you lose everything.
You know when your mom's suffering, and you want to provide for your family, innit, and make differences, You can't get paid, this is straight cash in hand, 24/7, I'm my own boss, I do my own job.
There is no which way that you can condone an adult approaching children to sell drugs. No. There is no which way that you can approach an
Brother, watch your mouth, because you're talking too much, bro. Real talk, you're talking too much, innit? Yeah? So you need to hold your lips. You don't know me, you don't know where I'm from, you don't know my story, nothing,
He don't understand. He definitely don't understand.
Do you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not from nowhere.
Wow. I'm going straight in.
Oh, no.
Gareth. So that went viral, didn't it?
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah, it did.
That went viral.
Yeah, it literally went viral instantly as well. That was crazy.
Is that like a general, I mean, I know that's a podcast, but is that the general kind of conversations, the kind of tones when you get that type of age group in a barbershop?
No, funnily enough, and I think barbershops in general is you can't judge where the conversation is going to go by the age group or by who's in the shop, because I've been surprised so many times by younger people and their opinions and the way that they see things. Like you can never judge how it's going to go. That was a surprise to us. A lot of people asked if that was staged or if we knew it was going to go like, and we had no idea. As you can see from that clip, and maybe if you watch the rest of it, we had no idea that it was going to get that heated or that people felt so passionately about, the topic.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, you know what, Gareth? One thing that really resonated with me from watching that is that you do have the elders like as the barbers, and they're giving their perspective and trying to advise these young guys who are talking, and it's like you're almost having to step into the young guys. You're almost having to step into their shoes to be able to see what how to relate to what their reality is.
Definitely.
And not to offend them, you have to kind of like balance that argument. I saw you guys try to balance the argument between one guy who went to university, the other one who's from the streets.
Yeah, that's something I think that kind of shows you how things go generally when we're having conversations. I mean, my role in Barber Banter and in the barbershop in general is to mediate between the young guys' opinions and the older guys' opinions and to bridge the gap. Because not disrespectfully, but a lot of the older guys' opinion and women, a lot of their opinions are dated. Not to be disrespectful, and a lot's changed in the culture, especially in our culture, in black culture, a lot has changed. A lot has become more acceptable or unacceptable, you know. And through Barber Banter, I got a major sort of eye opener into how things have changed, how drastically things have changed, the mentalities. You know, like that episode there was obviously about street crime. And we spoke earlier in the green room about how the fact that, you know, for as long as I can remember, the barbershop was always a neutral ground. You know, it could be anywhere. You could put a barbershop in the middle of a postcode war, and the barbershop is supposed to be neutral ground. There has been instances, obviously, where people have been hurt and injured and stuff like that, but it doesn't happen frequently. You know, it's very interesting.
Do you know what speaks? I can resonate. I can see with what you're talking about there, because there's a barber that I used to go to down in northwest London, and there'd been a couple of occasions that things have boiled over between different factions, and it's happened at the barber shop where one guy's been cutting his hair. They've been told that, oh, he's in the barber's cutting his hair, someone must have seen him, and someone's come there and attacked him, and it's happened on a couple of occasions. In the end, that barber shop had to close. So and it, you know, it was the community was up in uproar, because it was traditionally, as you said, a neutral ground. Everybody went there, old, young, women, men, boys, everybody went there.
And that brings us back to the point of the divide, the you know, the not cultural, the age divide. You know, we've got people now, or young adults and young people now, who don't have that regard and respect for the barbershop and the culture behind the barbershop, and do those kind of things. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, which is, you know, it's just, you don't do it. You just don't do it. You know what I mean? It's just what it is.
Yeah. You know? But don't you find the younger generation, obviously they're all about looking good. You know, the younger generation, they image is that's the right thing. Image is everything to them. So whatever happens, they're gonna come to their barbers, they're gonna look sharp, and they're gonna be you know, looking their best. But do they have the same kind of like understanding of that barbershop as a neutral venue, as somewhere where traditionally people go to relax and to?
No, I genuinely believe that tradition is being lost on the younger generation, and they're just, you know, whereas the barbershop used to be a place, even if you weren't getting your hair cut, you would go to get a, you know, touch base with your community, to touch base with the elders. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just one of them spots. That's how I was raised. You know, I've been going to a barbershop in East Ham. Shout out Cut Above the Rest, very famous barbershop in East Ham. Big up Patrick. I've been going to that barbershop since I've had hair. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I moved out the city, moved out the country. I do my thing. Whenever I come back, I go to the barbershop just to say hi and just to see what's been going on in the area. And I don't think a lot of youngsters really use it for that anymore. And for me, that's really sad, because we need that. We need to be able to touch base. We need to be able to check in and see what's going on in society. And sometimes even just check in. It's not checking on ourselves, but, you know, I think these youngsters, if they were using a barbershop for that purpose, we wouldn't have so much hostility in the community, because it would be a community.
Agreed.
You understand what I mean? It's very easy for a lot of these youngsters to create enemies of people they don't see every day, or they don't know, because you can see someone every day and still create an enemy, but you don't know them. If you're sitting down having an interaction, having a conversation with somebody, and starting to get to know their opinions and stuff, which you do in a barbershop, you know, you're kind of not forced to, but it's organic. You're very much less likely to have an altercation with that person over nonsense. You understand?
Speaks. So what do you think is missing? Why do you think that barbershops aren't connecting with the youngers? Years ago,
from what I've seen I work in quite a few barbershops now. I'm working in one in Edgware Road called Hook Up right now, and we're trying to bring that cultural element to it. And I think what's missing, what I'm seeing, is the connection to the community. Youngsters nowadays are seen as I'm 33, so I consider myself a young man, but I'm not a youngster. You know, but seeing these youngsters, they're not connected to the community in the way that that we were when we were kids, because we were out in the streets playing. We were brought up by the community. You did something wrong, your next door neighbor will bust your butt and tell your mum. You know what I mean? And that you don't have that. So these kids don't feel connected. They maybe feel a little neglected. So they don't respect the culture and traditions that have been put in place. You know, because effectively, those cultures and traditions don't apply to them. You know, we do to an extent, we do alienate the youngsters, you know, unfortunately nowadays. And I've noticed that olders in barbershops and stuff like that, they haven't got the tolerance for them anymore. They just see them as being
now speaks. Do you think that some of the youngsters feel intimidated going into
100%
a shop of all these grown men? They're
100%
to that presence.
100%.
And
You see them posturing. Lolly, you see them posturing. You know, when they walk into the shop, instantly their chests go out and they're posturing. And you know, I think that's something you've made a really valid point. Something that the barbershop I'm working in at the moment, Hookup, does is kind of appeals to that element, appeals to the youth in a way that is, again, organic. And I think more barbershops need to do that. And remember, times have changed. If you want to instill the same traditions and values that have always been the legacy in barbershop, then you need to adapt to the times and bring these kids in and show them the right way, you know, and show them that.
Do you know what speaks? That you know what I was just gonna say, Lolly, that you hit the nail on the head there, because now that, especially in this generation, now that we are, you know, traditionally we'd go to the barbershop. Myself, I'm in my 50s. We'd go to the barbershop with our parents when we was younger, and we have to sit there, don't say anything, you know, you just wait for your turn, you just speak when you're spoken to. Now we're in a different generation where the youngsters, they've got a lot to say, and they won't be spoken at, and they won't be spoken down to. So you have to find that way of communicating with them, that they can respect you and you can respect them. You know, it's no longer ruling by fear, you know, because they're not fearful of the older generation. They would challenge. And
that, Nick, that is the nail on the head. And it's not a thing where we have to be warring with each other. It's just to understand that times have changed now, and to communicate with these kids, to really get through to these kids, you have to allow them to verbalize how they feel, which is what you're seeing in barber now. You know, and sometimes, obviously, being that they're young, they're kids, you know, they're inexperienced, sometimes that comes out in a volatile manner. But even then, you can't chastise them for that. You have to show them the other way to properly communicate what they need to say. Each one teach one. I just see that popped up, and that's really what barbershops should be about. You know, as Gareth was saying previously, play more roles in this cutting hair.
Yeah. Do you think though, like the approach?
Sorry, Lolly, you were saying?
Yeah. No, is it just okay? Do you think the approach may be different now to sort of like entice some of the young ones to come to the barbershops, like as I was saying about, you know, dress codes, you know, certain music, things that make them feel a bit more comfortable about coming in? Do you think things
definitely
like that?
I've seen those changes in a lot of barbershops. I've seen those changes in the barbershops that are linked to the communities, to the music scene and stuff. They've made them more inviting, but it's more of a business thing than it is a community thing. They understand that to, you know, keep this business functioning, they need to move with the times. They just need to bring the soul in that matches the image. You know, big up places like Cutter Bar, big up Fades and Blades in Romford, and Hookup in Edgware Road, that are all doing these things, encouraging youngsters to come in and join in the tradition of the barbershops, you know, and changing the decal and just the way they approach things. You know, it's important.
I think the youth do have that respect, though. I think we got to give them credit, because, you know, I know even some of the language that is used, and sometimes it just gets on my nerves, but, you know, they have their respect is shown in different ways. If they see an old person, it's uncle.
Yeah. Do
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
I'm still guilty of that. I'm like I said, I'm in my 30s and I still call older men, I still call them uncle. You know,
even if you know them or not, you say, you know, wagwan uncle.
Wagwan uncle.
I mean? I've heard that. I've heard them. So there still is that manner of respect, but I think it's just the language has changed, and
very much so. The dialect has changed. The colloquialism has changed. And that's representative of all the cultures. Like, it's so funny that you said wagwan, which is a Caribbean, it's a Jamaican term. But you know, I know kids from, you know, Iran that now say wagwan. I know kids from that were born and bred in London, white kids, England, you know, wagwan. But we, in the same way, I've got Caribbean Christian friends that say inshallah, you know, because they're so tied in with the Muslim culture, because we're brought up around it. And I think again, that's times changing, culture's changing, language is changing. I think people need to be less focused on the words being used and more focused on the intent of the language. Does that person mean disrespect by what they're saying? If they don't, then ignore them with a word and just go with the feeling, you know.
Listen, I loving what you're doing with the barber banter.
Thank you
Speaks,
so
honestly.
much. Appreciate that, man.
It encapsulates all kind of aspects of barbershop, how we go there, how we feel about the environment, and how we treat it. So, more props to you, bruv. Keep it up. And
Big up Terry.
look
I have to
forward
shout
to the
out
next
Terry
one.
and Pat, my partners on that, man. Those guys have really bought. They're both barbers and they've both been in the industry for many, many years, and they really kind of showed everybody what the barbershop culture was all about. And it's big respect to these guys, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
No, stay there. We've got some questions that we want you to answer as well. I just we're gonna do that in about when we're gonna do that? 10 minutes, Lolly.
Yeah,
we've got 10 minutes to do that.
She Barber quickly.
Yeah.
If not, we'll bring everybody back and
Okay.
we'll have our question and answers. We've got quite a lot of questions.
Yeah. Stay with us, Speaks.
Yeah.
Right here.
Okay. Right. So I've just been in the room. Just let me know. We have She Barber. We haven't got She Barber.
Is she here?
That would have been really interesting to get She Barber with us.
Okay. She didn't come, but anyway, should we let's get all our
so let's get
back in there. Speaks. I got this is more of a comment, really. It says, it's like Naomi Forrest. She said, yes, Speaks. It is great work you are doing. And this is an excellent example of community communication enhancement. Neutral ground allows respect to shine, allowing for a prosperous community. That's from Naomi.
100%. Big up Naomi on that one, because she gets it. That's exactly the point, and that's exactly what this community and society needs.
Yeah.
I have a question. Naomi, good evening, Naomi. Thank you for joining us. Make sure you guys have been just pressing the subscribe button as well, so you know whenever we're on each and every week. All right. Naomi has a question. Sorry, Professionista. Ratty, do you do eyebrows professionally, and which method do you use?
Yes, I do. Currently, I only do with the razor. I'll be learning how to do the threading and the waxing soon. Okay.
Also, Ratty, do you do a vegan and organic hair care products and stuff? Do you do that as well?
Currently, the brand I'm working with is Essential Roots. So it's vegan and cruelty free, all of that. So that's the brand I mostly recommend. Yeah, and it's
okay. Well, sorry, Sharon was asking, is there a big market for that? Sharon was asking.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people, as you guys all say, are more conscious and more accepting of their natural hair now. So they are going towards that natural hair care for the natural hair. So, and there's a lot of small business and new business that are opening up organic brands and products. So for hair care and just skincare in general. So it's definitely growing. And clients do recommend it, and they do ask for it, beard oil and all of that.
Got another question for Gareth. Gareth, Sonia wants to know, do you teach the youngers to the techniques in cutting hair and with scissors, or have you ever taken on an apprentice? That's from Sonia.
Loads of times. I did a course. I put on a course back in 2008. I had initially maybe about 16 of them, come down to about 12. And I put them through a 12-week course, and all of them kind of done all right still. So yeah, I've taught young people. My son can cut hair to a degree. Yeah, so yeah, I do.
Okay, good stuff.
I've got a question for all of our barbers today. I'm going to lighten the mood. What is a short one, your funniest barbershop story? Because they
all...
Lolly.
Funniest
Lolly, you're not nice. I don't know if I can share this one.
I've got a funny one.
I've got a few funny ones.
Go ahead.
Go on.
Go, Gareth.
Speak. You go first.
All right, so you know the gentleman I'm talking about. so I was getting my hair cut in Cut Above by Patrick Phipps.
I know Patrick.
And obviously he's known me since I met you there. I met you there years ago. But
oh, did you?
so I'm getting my hair cut. Yeah. We're the only other black Gareth in London, man. Come on.
Bro. Nice girl. Easy. Wow.
My God. So I'm getting my hair cut now, and a young lady's come to the door, and everybody in the barbers has turned now to see who this girl is because she's really attractive. And Pat's laughing because everyone's turned their head. Yeah, and he's like, boy, whoever this girl is, they're gonna get beaten. Whoever this girl belongs to is gonna get beaten up. They're gonna get rushed afterwards. And she's walked through the barbers and come and give me a kiss on the cheek. And I saw the whole barber shop face was changed. And Pat was there like, do you want to sneak you out the back? It's one of them things like, I don't know. It's a legendary moment. It's like, you want to sneak you out the back?
Wow.
Hey, that's
Right, do you have any that you can share?
For me, I think it would be dealing with a client, you know, who were doing the mustache, and there was a joke in the barbershop, so the client just laughed out, and you know what happened? Just one side of the mustache disappears, so it's like, and then there's a reason to laugh even more. So you know that was really funny, but you know it turned out well anyway. So yeah, that's one of the things that pops up in mind. But we normally have a lot of fun in barbershops anyway, you know.
You can't put it back, Ratty, can you?
No. That's the thing, you know.
You do the other side to match it.
Yeah. Unless you leave them with the same shape.
Yeah, I got a story.
Oh, no.
I was in the barbers, and that time I had about 3 other barbers working with me, and one of my barbers, I can't even call their name out because if they're here, I'm in trouble. But yeah, one of the barbers that I was working with, he was seeing somebody famous, and his girlfriend caught wind of it, and she come to the shop, and it was on. Now this particular barber, he's a brown belt in karate. His missus is a black belt.
Oh.
Yeah? And when she come in the place and started asking questions, and I see foot, hand, knee, box, face, it's just pure like this. I was in the corner. So I was laughing, but I couldn't laugh out loud. You've never seen anything as funny as this, where the girl's just beating up the guy, and the guy can't do nothing. Remember, he's a black belt, you know. He's a brown belt. She's a black belt, and he's getting some licks, and it's hilarious. And then when she's left with us all on the floor, because like, you know, this guy is a little tough guy. He can defend himself. Then his missus comes and just battered him up, and he can't do nothing. Trust me. And when she found out, listen. I'd hate to think what happened when he got home, because that was just in the barbershop.
When you got home, I was gonna say, when you got home, you got it worse.
He got it worse. And here, what? You see, True, the girl was a quick girl as well. You know he's getting problems.
Yeah,
mate.
You know she's waiting at home. No. She's waiting at home with the karate gi, just at the front door, waiting for him.
Listen, it was a moment. Let me tell you.
Did he come back? Did he come back to the barbershop after that?
He came back to work the next day. He had to come back to work, but boy, he was a different
guy. Out. Listen, it's been. I wish we had another hour to talk about, because I wanted to talk about these non-intrusive hair transplants and things like that, man. That's going on these days, man. But we'll need a whole new show to talk about that.
That's a whole show by itself.
Definitely.
And the use of the hair fibers, that's a whole show by itself as well.
Yeah, definitely. But gentlemen, it's been enlightening. We've just got about reached the end of the show. It's been really great having you guys on there. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and share with us. Keep up the great works as well.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So hopefully we'll get you back. We'll get you back on another time, and let's talk some more about this, man, because there's so many more avenues to explore. We're about the barbershop.
Barbershop style. We'll pick up where we left off.
Yes. Yes. All the best with your individual businesses. Okay. Keep up the good work, gents.
Thank you.
Bless.
Yes. Bye.
Nick.
Thanks.
That's
wow,
us
Lolly.
for another week.
Yeah, an hour went quick, didn't it?
It went very quick.
Yeah,
Very
that was that.
interesting.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about the hair transplants because that's quite popular now, but
Yeah.
we can touch on that another time. You know. Thank you very much to everyone who joined us in the chat room, the live chat. Hope that we got through most of your questions and your comments this evening. And
Subscribe, people.
yeah,
Do subscribe to
it.
the channel so you can get, and also press that bell because that'll give you notification as to when we go live.
Yeah, I must do that as well, Lolly. I must set the bell. I know you introduced us to that bell actually, so you know the bell has got to be used. You introduced us to the bell for the timing, so we got to use that. Thank you very much, Naomi. All right, so I think that's it, Lolly. That's our hour up, guys, girls. Thank you, everyone who locked in. This has been So What Is. Look out for the next episode coming soon.
Yes.
And join Lolly and myself and the backroom staff on the next episode. Thanks for being a good guest this afternoon. Ciao. Bye-bye.